Okay, I don't want to bring like the energy down here, and I didn't tell you in advance, but in my late 40s, have you met anybody who got diagnosed with four cancers in COVID, all primary cancers, all different cancers at the same time?
Wow.
Yeah, you have now. And I don't
Yeah.
drink, I don't smoke, I'm super healthy, I do a lot of fitness, all of that stuff. So,
Hmm.
should we just kindly say it was a little bit of a shock?
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Kesil, and today I'm joined by someone that I'm looking forward to chatting with, Susannah Cole, who is a real estate investor working on international properties around the UK and Spain. She's focused on fix and flips, wholesale, buy and hold, and the Burr method. So excited to have you here today, Susannah.
Really nice to be here. And I love talking about property. So, hopefully, people will get something good from this today. But I'll respect everybody's time. I could talk about property forever.
Great. So let's just dive in. First off, for those not familiar with you and your work yet, can you share what your main focus is these days?
Yeah, sure. So my main focus is about property changing lives, which sounds so cliche, doesn't it? But it absolutely does. So from a personal point of view, I've built quite a nice sizable property portfolio. And I think there are three stages to a portfolio. There's the acquisition point when you're like stretching, aren't you? You're bringing in bank finance, you're bringing in investor finance. Obviously, you're keeping a super eye on cash flow and profit and loss and all of that. But property is an illiquid asset, so you're really stretching to bring in the early days. Sleepless nights, we've all been there. And then I think the second stage is paying down. Now, some people don't agree with me. Some people talk about always being leveraged. Me, I'm old school. I'm British. I'm actually come from Scotland. I'm old school. I love paying houses off, and that's where I'm at for my personal portfolio right now. And then the third stage for me is acquisition with cash. Now, I do appreciate, and again, somebody might be like yelling at the mic right now because the return on capital employed or the return on investment is quite low. But for me, property is about freedom, and I like to guide my own ship. I'm not so keen. When I look at my profit and loss and see how much money goes to the banks, which I'm super appreciative of because they allow me to own millions of pounds worth of assets, I'd rather keep that money in my own pocket, to be honest. I didn't get into this to pay banks, even though I'm very grateful. So personally, I'm in the stage 2, which is I'm paying down houses. And I love going into the bank and paying them off and walking out all dizzy and kind of like, oh, I need to go for tea and cake. And then within my business, I'm an investor in other people's properties at the moment. I've just had some medical things that I've come through. And I also have a tremendous student cohort. I love sharing my 20 years of experience with people. I love seeing other people succeed too.
Amazing. Lovely. So
Was that an English accent I heard?
a little
Lovely.
bit.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah. Sounds like you're, hitting so many levels of your business. How did you get started in the real estate world?
Well, I think like many of us, it's kind of like in our blood and our bones. We know property makes people wealthy, and we know property gives people choices, but we don't quite know how to get started. So I didn't get started. I spent 18 months reading books, sitting at home, writing a 16-page business plan, which was perfection, but draft, so analysis paralysis. And then because I was head of household with 2 children aged 10 and 12 when I did get started, I started by using other people's money, obviously good quality legal agreements, paying them back. And I started by BRRR, so buying discounted, refinancing, pulling the cash out. But I super quickly realized, hey, what if the bank doesn't agree with your valuation? Or, there's just an event hits you. How are you going to make sure those investors get their money back? So then I started deal packaging, is what we call it in the UK, wholesaling. And we ended up doing £45 million worth of source deals, 217 deals in 4.5 years. We kind of took off a little bit. But at the same time, I did quite a bit of joint venture flipping. And I think one of the reasons I'm still in business 20 years later is I always had a bit of an eye to cash flow. So brilliant to build wealth. Property, brilliant to buy discounted. I always did that every single time. But you've always got to make sure your cash is going to flow okay. And, there doesn't come a point where you're thinking, hey, I'm not sure I can pay for things, even if technically you're a millionaire. So I always did cash generating strategies at the same time as asset acquisition. And I worked pretty hard. I do remember, now this dates me, I do remember watching an episode of Sex and the City. It was my 1 hour of television a week I was allowed. And Samantha had said something so funny. I fell off the sofa with laughter because I was so tired. I couldn't actually stay on the sofa. So I did work pretty hard in the early days, to be truthful about it. But yeah, it was using investors' money, buying my single lets, then multi-lets, then blocks of flats, paying them back, and just trading deals and flipping deals just to bring extra cash coming in for safety's sake. That's how I got started.
Yeah, amazing. And so you mentioned cash flow being
Yes.
one of the most important things. Can
Yeah.
you expand on what that process looks like, or maybe a
Yeah.
little bit about how financing works, if there are some like creative
Yeah.
avenues that have worked for you?
Yeah. The best avenue for me from finance is working with private investors. But let's just touch on cash flow. It's not super sexy. I'm sure everyone wants to know how I raised millions, but let's just keep people in the business first and sleeping at night first, and then talk about the cash flow. So, prior when I was much younger, I ran fair trade businesses. So I had 5 retail shops, and I was. Have you guys heard of Glastonbury? Our biggest festival. Yeah. So I had like trucks going out, like 3.5-ton Dodge trucks going out to Glastonbury and Reading and WOMAD and all the big festivals, every weekend. And I did that all organically. So on a Monday morning, I'd sit down with a piece of paper and I'd be like, okay, how much money is in the bank? How much money can we spend on stock? Because next week I have to pay the bills again. So it was pushing to build up from a tiny little business to 5 shops plus a whole bunch of festival vans, where you're so from an early age, I knew that that without managing your cash flow and projecting, you come a cropper, and that's no fun for anybody. So to give an example, in my early days, this is so cute now, but at the time I didn't sleep for 3 days. I predicted my cash flow for 18 months always.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Or just using spreadsheets, what's coming in, what's going out, what rentals have I got, what mortgages, 10% of repairs, all of that stuff, plus any projects. And I noticed in about 9 months' time, I had a 15 grand shortfall. Now I'd just be like, oh, honey. But then I didn't sleep for 3 nights. But what was cool about it, although it wasn't cool not to sleep, was I was finding a problem 9 months early that I could fix. Now, if, that cash flow showed me I would be profitable, but I'd have a negative balance during the process where I wouldn't be able to pay bills, even though the project would be profitable. And we see, and I'm sure you see it, people who go bankrupt or bust, typically they go bankrupt or bust because they don't have their cash flow right, not because they don't have profitable projects. So I insist on always projecting, 9 months, 18 months in the future, and kind of finding your problems in advance so that you can solve them now. Which then brings us on to, how do you solve them? If you've got a profitable project, then you can bring in private finance. And I used to do it in 2 ways. The first way was very simple. A formal funding campaign where I was raising loans in the same way a bank would lend you. So proper legal agreements, proper due diligence, proper, money laundering, or checks, not money laundering, or, all the good stuff. And making sure it's completely legal and above board and as it should be, with an interest rate that you'd pay every single month, and then you'd pay them back the capital at the agreed term. And I did that for quite a number of years, and I bought many, many houses that way and paid back the investors. And the little tip on that one for the folks listening, as you build more assets, you become less risky. So whatever interest rate you offer at the beginning where you're a little bit risky, you're quite new, every year I used to drop that interest rate by 2%, 6 months in advance of the year agreement coming up. So I'd be like, hey, Michelle, we've got an agreement. It finishes in 6 months' time. I just want to highlight that I've bought millions of pounds worth more of property, so my asset base is stronger, so your risk is even less. So just very gently, we're gently dropping the interest rate by 2 points. I just want to check with you that's going to sit comfortable with you. You don't need to make a decision today. You can make a decision anywhere between now and the 6 months, but I like to know my future funding, and I like to know how that sits with you. So you're not feeling pushed, but I am dropping your interest because I'm less of a risk. So I'm telling you I'm less of a risk, therefore risk and reward. So that keeps your interest quite comfortable. And then the other way I did it, Michelle, was joint ventures, where say it was you and I, and you're the money lady, and I'm like, Michelle, I want us both to make some money. I'd be like, hey, I found a great deal. It's discounted. This is the value of the refurb. This is the value of the property sold. I can run this flip as fast as possible, turn the money within 6 months. Are you in? Would you like to be the JV partner? You can go to the beach. I'll do the work, and we'll split the money half and half. But you would own the property, not me. It would be tied up correctly legally. So with kindness, you couldn't run away and rip me off because I've got some security against the property. You're enjoying yourself at the beach. You're doing whatever fun things you like in life. Your capital is working, and I'm putting in the sweat labor. And that would allow me to take 50% of the flip with none of the financial risk. But of course, you have a reputation risk. So I was very dedicated to make sure it would work. So those were my 2 main routes. And I ran formal fundraising campaign, and I was very intentional about it. Proper brochures, proper CRM, proper, touch points, investor days, with the very clear, hey, if you've got some money, it might be great that you might like to work with me kind of push. Yes.
Yeah, amazing. It sounds like you really dialed in the process and systems that work for you.
Yes, that's why we ended up doing the number of deals because, like my dad, and I'm very fortunate my parents are still with us. My dad was a maths professor, so he kind of thinks in boxes. He's much more logical than me.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
But I think I got a little tiny bit of him. So when you do something, I like to turn it into a system straight away. And once you got it as a system or a process, you can do it again. And then you're like, oh, what if we improved this bit? Oh, that bit didn't work. Let's never do that part again. And so once you have a system, you can kind of think a little bit in boxes and repeat and repeat and repeat and just get better and better at it. So I think people should stay in their lane, get really, really good at their lane before they jump to the next lane, myself.
Definitely. So you mentioned how property has saved your life. Can you expand on what that means for you?
Okay, I don't want to bring the energy down here, and I didn't tell you in advance, but in my late 40s, have you met anybody who got diagnosed with 4 cancers in COVID, all primary cancers, all different cancers at the same time?
Wow.
Yeah, you have now. And I don't
Yeah.
drink, I don't smoke, I'm super healthy, I do a lot of fitness, all of that stuff. So,
Hmm.
should we just kindly say it was a little bit of a shock?
Sure.
And obviously, in the UK, in theory, we have free healthcare, but our system is burdened, and that's a very polite way of saying it. So, one of the departments I was under was strongly dysfunctional. I don't want to get grumpy about it, but they were. And having been an entrepreneur, you can see the behavior. You just can see and you notice and you're like, this isn't working. There's too many mistakes. If you were in my team as a business, not as healthcare, but doing different jobs, but doing the same kind of behaviors and mistakes, you would not be in my team. So I can't keep you in my team. So what I did, and when I spoke to the nurse and said, what if it becomes stage 4, her answer was, we stopped treating you. And I thought, I don't think so. But when you're not in control of your own choices, which is why I'm so keen on property, then you don't have the choice. So what I did was, obviously I had some money anyway, but I sold 6 houses, had a really nice big fund, didn't work for 3.5 years, just worked on my health, 1% incremental improvement. My job was to bring the most healthy body possible to all the treatments, and went with the best cancer hospital in the UK. You guys have got the top 9 cancer hospitals in the world, and then we have the top 10th. So I was like, well, America's great, but I'm gonna go with the British one, which is the Royal Marsden, and I just went private and spent 6 years on my health. So I think it was a combination of being able to have the choices to work with the best people in Europe, but also being able to have the choice to not work for 3.5 years, and I'm sure that really helped as well. So property 100% saved my life. And then I live here in Barcelona, so it was a really gorgeous place to just come and relax, and just, I know healing is such a word that everyone uses, but genuinely heal. I live near the beach, just go for walks on the beach, swim in the sea, just take it gentle, take it calm. So yeah, I'm quite a fan of property, both for all the fun stuff and the oh my lord, when something trips you up that you don't expect, well, property can be there to give you the choices that you need to be able to get through it.
Wow. Yeah. What an incredible story, and amazing that you're able to tell it with such grace and joy and transformation.
Yeah, well, it's still I still, if I see somebody with their hair or with they got a line in, my heart just hurts for them,
Right.
because I know what it's like to be in those corridors.
Yeah.
And you can't intrude, but you just want to hug. But, life is for the living, so let's give ourselves the choices we possibly can, and so that we can direct our own pathway as much as we can within the circumstances that we find ourselves. Yeah, yeah. Yes. I didn't want to bring the podcast down though, but there you go.
No, I think it's inspirational.
Mm. But I'm so fortunate. I'm on a little study because there are not many people that have had full primary. That means they're unconnected. So I was
Mhm.
talking with my professor this morning, and I just think I'm so fortunate to have the absolute kind of world and top European experts to back me, which I'm really
Yeah.
grateful for. And again, even there, I'm trying to currently buy. No, I shouldn't ever use the word try. I am currently in negotiations with a lord. So, we've got lords in the UK. We've got duchesses and princesses and all of that. And we have lords who are in the House of Lords. So I'm currently negotiating to buy a house near that hospital from a lord at the moment. Just because, again, I'd rather be close to the hospital if ever I needed them again. And it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous, like an artist's studio. But we'll see. What's for you won't pass you by. We'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah, amazing that real estate was able to support you on your health
Yeah,
journey.
yeah, yeah. Very, very fortunate. And I'm super interested in other people moving forward in property for those same reasons. I don't want anyone to have a difficulty with their health, but when it comes up for them, I want them to have choices. Yeah. As well as
Yeah,
enjoying themselves and being able to travel the world. Yeah.
absolutely. And what advice would you give to someone that is early on in their journey or just thinking about getting started?
Well, what you guys do is brilliant. Giving podcasts, giving advice, it's almost like having a friend in your living room, isn't it? So I think the number one thing I see is people get that imposter syndrome that, nobody around me knows how to do this. Nobody in my family's done this before. I don't know anybody. So then they feel like it's not for them. So I think the number one thing to do is surround yourself by people for whom property is kind of normal. Like for you and I, property is normal, isn't it? I could go find a discounted deal this afternoon. It's super normal with $100,000 discount. It's just like drinking a cup of tea for somebody from Britain, for me. So whether they listen to your podcasts or read books or get in a mastermind or get in a community where everywhere they look, people are doing normal things in property that is outside of their previous social norm with friends and family. And I think what that helps do is that helps to reset the mindset that this is something they can do too. And then I want them writing plans. I want them doing cash flow. I want them taking it professionally, running a fundraising campaign, identifying exactly what they want from property, and then working backwards and translating it. So I don't mean like, people are like, oh, I want 100 houses or, this, however much money per month. It's like, what do you want your life to look like? And then cost it out and work it backwards. And then be prepared to put the work in for a few years to make it happen. There you go.
Yeah,
Sounds
I think
simple,
that's
doesn't it? Oh, sorry. I
yeah,
interrupted.
definitely. And then putting the work in for a few years is probably where
Yes.
people are like, okay, let me dial in.
I know, I know. I just want now, if the men are listening, you do not need to fall off the sofa having listened to Sex and the City. But, when I was so tired that I actually fell off my sofa laughing because my abdominal muscles were too tired to hold my body together. You do get quite tired in the early days. That, you have to just really, like Rocky, you have to put it in, to get it out. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. And before we wrap up here, if someone wants to reach out, connect, learn more about what you're up to, where can people find you and connect with you?
I would love it if people did. I really would. So my name is Susannah Cole. My website is thegoodpropertycompany.co.uk. Just keeps it simple, doesn't it? We're trying to be good in property. And then, classic things like Facebook, Susannah Cole. or Instagram, Susannah Cole UK. And we do, we do live webinars, and we got lots of free, like a free book that I wrote that people can download. So I would really appreciate it if people would like to reach out and maybe take advantage of some of the free items we put out. I got a YouTube channel. We've had a few million views, which is fun. They can always have a good old get the popcorn in and look at that. And that's Susannah Cole, The Good Property Company. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time, your story, and your perspective. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the time that you've taken. And thank you for your questions. It's really considerate. And I love the fact that we've got the same background going on.
Yes.
Exposed brick from one continent to another. Fabulous.
Yes. Of course. Awesome. And so, for the listeners that are tuning in, if you got value, make sure that you have subscribed. We have more conversations with operators like Susannah who are building real businesses, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.